I served for 10 years, 3 months, and 21 days. When I was in high school, I did not enjoy it. It was pretty easy. I didn't have a hard time. I thought about going to college, but I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life yet. And I figured being in the Marines would give me a good experience. I'd be like, okay, 4 years from now, I'll have a better idea of who I am and what I want to do, and it'll be fun in the process. So my dad had been a Marine back in the 70s. My grandmother had been a Marine back in the 50s. And I decided that they had the coolest looking uniforms and they were the best, so that's who I wanted to be with. I was deployed 4 times total. The first 2 times I was in Japan before and during 9/11. And it sounds weird to people who have never been there, but it's so incredibly easy overseas. All I had to do was get up, make sure my guys were okay, go on patrol, make sure everybody came back, make sure the plan was set for the next day, eat, work out, go to sleep. Over there, it's the same group of guys doing the same thing for months on end, and everything got very smooth. Everybody knew what they had to do and when they had to do it. So in a lot of ways, it was easier being overseas. The reason I got out was because they wanted me to go be a recruiter. Before that came around, I had been my 2 tours in Iraq, and I spent 6 months at a Marine base in California called 29 Palms, which is where every unit that goes to combat has to go through to get evaluated. And that's what I did. I was an evaluator for 6 months. And so I had a lot of experience off of that alone, plus my deployment time in Iraq. And I was like, listen, I want to go back for a 3rd tour. I want to go to Ramadi again. And my unit was all about it, but the headquarters of Marine Corps was like, no, you have to go be a recruiter. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. And they're like, you don't have a choice. I was like, yes, I do. I can get out in about 60 days and go to college. So I applied to American and to Catholic and a few others here in town. And then the people here were just like, hey, we're having a mid-year transfer fest. Why don't you come and check us out? And I was like, well, the most proactive people towards me have been AU, so I figured I'll go to AU. I came here to AU, I didn't really have an expectation. I didn't know, some of my friends were like, oh, AU, DC, man, you're going to a liberal school, watch out. I haven't had anybody walk up to me, oh, the war was wrong, or, oh, I'm sorry you had to go, or everybody's just like, oh, you were a veteran? Okay. Did you go to Iraq? I'm like, yeah. They was like, okay. And people have been very understanding. Now, I had a kid in my biology class who looked at me one day and he's like, can I ask you a question? I was like, sure, man. What's up? He's like, you don't really smile a lot. I was like, I'm sorry, man. It's just my natural demeanor when I'm concentrating on something, I don't think about it. And he was like, okay, well, why is that? I'm like, well, I was in the Marine Corps. Worrying about a biology exam's not the top of my priority list right now. If I fail it, I'll just take it again, or I'll repeat the class, whatever. It's no biggie. And he was like, wow, I can't imagine being like that. I'm like, dude, after some of the stuff I've saw, I'm not going to worry about it. As long as I pass the class, a degree is a degree. I got here for the first 1 or 2 weeks. I didn't really know anybody yet. I was still figuring out, but then I got introduced to the AU vets, the veterans on campus. The veterans don't push that. We're all veterans. You have to look at us. I mean, we're just as happy to be in the background as we are to sponsor an event on campus. I think it's a great thing for AU because as more and more people come back and get out, the more proactive the school is. It's not that it's going to make the school better. It's going to help the students to see more different perspectives. It's not that the veterans, I think today, in my opinion, want to be called heroes, because we don't think we are. Most of the guys when I enlisted got out after 9/11. So they weren't in Iraq or Afghanistan. It was just, they did their 4 years, they had wives and kids, they had plans for college or for jobs, and they wanted to move on with their life. It's not that they're worse for getting out, because they're not. They did their time. It's just my generation, or the guys who have enlisted after 9/11, it just happened to be when things were going boom in Iraq and Afghanistan. I think all they really want is just for every now and then somebody who knows them, or who might see like a sticker or a Marine tattoo on their arm or something like that, and be like, oh, you're a Marine? thank you for your service, and just give them a handshake and leave it at that.